Hi guys, it's Debbie, and I just got back from the cinema where I watched Captain Marvel, the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this time starring Brie Larson as the main character, Samuel L. Jackson in his classic role as Nick Fury, as well as new characters including actor Jude Law. Don't worry if you are a total newcomer to the world of Marvel films. I know that in the past with most of their movies it's been like, so you haven't seen all the last 20 films? Too bad for you. You're not going to understand anything about what's going on in this one. But in Captain Marvel, everything's different for various reasons. The first one being that it is set about 25 years ago, way before other events occur. So it's actually a good starting point for people who want to catch up with the Marvel films. Also, Captain Marvel has hardly ever been mentioned in previous films, and the comic based on the character is not as famous as, let's say, Superman, so not going to be behind the whole world when watching this film. The third reason is that the starting point of the story is the character losing her memory and trying to remember everything that happened to her. So she doesn't actually have any information on herself either, so we're all safe to go. Before jumping right into the review, as you're all film lovers, remember to check out the link in the description box below for a ton of film, music, TV series, pop culture merchandise, just like the t-shirt I am wearing today, all discounted with a code you'll also find down below. Now, getting back to Captain Marvel, as I was saying, our main character doesn't really have any background information to provide us, as she lost most of her memory. We just know she is an elite warrior, a member of the powerful Kree society, and her fighting abilities eventually lead her to a battle with the Skrulls. I will not say anything more about the plot to avoid spoilers. The film that attracted me most into seeing this film was Brie Larson as the protagonist. Brie Larson is someone I had always associated with more dramatic roles, or let's say at least not a blockbuster action superhero film. She was showered in awards, including an Oscar for Best Actress for her role as a kidnapped mother in The Drama Room, so very different roles. Now, to be honest, when I watched Captain Marvel, I wasn't totally convinced by it. I think the fact that nobody knew basically anything about the character meant there had to be a big introduction to everything concerning her. It's not like a film such as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which even introducing a totally new concept just introduces the character with the oh, you'll know the story manner. So for the first third of the film, I was left wondering what was happening, where this was all leading to. Everything was confused. Brie Larson's character seemed slightly off. She was super ironic, but still struggling with her own identity. There were multiple theories going on. She consulted individuals, which then just made everything even more confused. But then as soon as we got into the story, it really kicked off, and I did enjoy it. But let's admit it, most of us haven't read the superhero comics, whether it may be DC or Marvel or whatever you like. So for example, when Wonder Woman came out, it's not like we all walked into the cinemas knowing everything about the character. The same with Black Panther or Doctor Strange. These are less known characters, but still the films didn't take up half of the running time to set up the story. They obviously needed the necessary time to set up all the pieces, but once we were all set up, the plot just moved on. Captain Marvel instead felt too often like it had to point out every small detail and tell us for the umpteenth time how the protagonist doesn't remember everything, but also how strong she is and how mysterious everything is. There are several points in the film's favour, such as the fact that when it actually gets into the story, it changes completely from everything we were expecting, even from what we predicted from the trailer. And it also covers some concepts I was definitely not expecting from a spring, summer action blockbuster superhero film. But still, again, it was quite light, rather basic. It kept on running over the same concepts. It sometimes felt more like, look, this is the new superhero, look how powerful she is, she's the new superhero, look at her. I was expecting something a little deeper, or if not deep, at least funny, such as Ant-Man and the Wasp. It just ended up feeling rather generic, but still it wasn't totally awful. I mean, Batman vs Superman tried to be super deep and this interesting concept, and it ended up being appalling. It just needs to be a little bit better. Maybe cut down the first half, cut out all the showing the new superhero, and moving on to the point of the story. It's as if Wonder Woman wasted half of the running time on with Diane on the island of the Amazons until Steve arrived, and then just cram everything in the last section of the film. The effects in Captain Marvel were quite good. I think that along with the action choreography and the editing, they were some of the film's main, the strongest points. On a more practical manner, I I loved all the different weapons the Kree used, the overall look of the Skrulls, and how the action and the effects were developed over the technology they both use. But overall, my thoughts are all over the place at the moment. I wish I could have seen a more solid introduction to the character that would have kept me wanting to see more, but it just felt rather bland. I didn't hate it, there were actually some scenes which were pretty hilarious, but they mostly involved Nick Fury or other characters. But then again, I had a very strong opinion, for example, on Deadpool, but then I watched the second movie and I had a completely different point of view. I'm going to put it this way, this is not a film I would recommend, but it still deserves its chance. Let me know what you think about Captain Marvel if you've seen it, or what you expect from it if you still have to see it, or with a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.